is back after a little hiatus. This is episode 12, Initiate the Self-Destruct Sequence. So, we're diving a little bit more into Kate, and what's happening with the Kate Kane character is it's very interesting to me, where I feel like there's something up here. Because we've already seen photos, we've seen video footage, they're all over Instagram and Twitter and whatever. They've already showed us who the new actress is who's playing Kate Kane. We've seen her face. But for some reason on the show, they keep blurring her face and they keep trying to make her face a secret on the show. And I feel like, I think I know why. I have a theory or a hope as to why that is, but we'll get to that in the end. So this episode starts with False Face. So they have Kate basically like chained up. Your girl Enigma, she shows up, to hypnotize Kate Kane. Now, Black Mask has been saying since he first arrived that both Batwoman and the Crows are responsible for his daughter dying. I'm still waiting for the episode that explains all that and everything that happened to his daughter. So He said that in the Mask family, the Black Mask family, they make a mask of a person's face every single time they die. So he made a mask in honor of his daughter. But for some weird reason, he told Enigma to hypnotize Kate Kane and to make Kate think that she's Enigma's, that she's Black Mask's daughter. So this is weird. Black Mask ends up giving her the mask that was created for his daughter. And now, once Enigma does her magical mumbo jumbo a la Constantine, she's now hypnotized into thinking that she's Black Mask's daughter. And they brought up something. They were like, after Enigma had hypnotized Kate, and now Kate thinks that she's, Sionis' daughter. She said that, I was able to hypnotize her to the point where she truly believes that she's your daughter, but I wasn't able to do anything about her voice because her larynx was damaged during the crash and when your people abducted her and beat her ass. So I was like, okay, that's a nice little way to explain why the voice is a little different from the original to the new. So now they give her the mask, and I said, she wakes up and she's like, why am I wearing a mask, Dad? And he's like, oh, because your face was burned in a fire coming out of Arkham. So, but now that you're here and now that you're wearing this mask, nobody will ever harm you again. So now Kate's one of the bad guys. Like they say, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And now Kate Kane is the villain, and she actually looks pretty cool in the mask and everything. So, but she's working for the Sionis and she's working for the Black Mask. So now in the actual episode, we're dealing from the fallout of the previous episode where Sophie found out that Ryan was Batwoman, but also her douchebag co-worker, he got his hands on Batwoman's DNA, blood samples that were left all over the last crime scene. He's running her blood through the system so they can hopefully get a match and find out the true identity of Batwoman. Because like Sophie said, she said that if Ryan has ever been arrested at some point during her life, she'd be in the system. And if they run her DNA in the system, then the match will come up. So now Sophie, she knows that Ryan is Batwoman, but the rest of the team doesn't know that she knows. So she's freaking out and she's just like, I don't know what to do. So she goes upstairs and she hits the bat symbol to call Batwoman. Batwoman shows up on the scene, she's like, the bat symbol is not a beeper. And then Sophie told her, she was like, listen, the Crows are trying to get your DNA. So she was like, something needs to be done about it. And she's just like, well, I'm gonna leave that to you, because she's like, I ain't got no time for this, because I gotta go save Angelique, who's the girl that was gonna testify against Black Mask that the Crows failed to save and has now got snatched up by the Black Mask gang. So she was just like, so Sophie's like, but what about your DNA? And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna leave you to that. And then she jumps off the building. Alice now, Alice just got finished making sweet love down by the ocean, and when Alice wakes up, it's almost like she got drunk and had like a random one-night stand, because she woke up, realized she was in bed butt naked with Ocean, and then she immediately got up and got dressed. She tried to leave the room, didn't even leave no change on the table, and when she opened the door, the Black Mask gang arrived. They beat up Alice, and then they ran up on Ocean. They snatched Ocean up, to bring him to the warehouse. Because again, what's happening is Black Mask, he's trying to make this drug, he's trying to make the snakebite drug. Only Angelique and Ocean know how to make the snakebite drug, but Angelique doesn't know as much as Ocean does. So Black Mask was able to find both of them. He got Angelique out of protective custody. He got Ocean out of Alice's bed. And now he's bringing both of them to a warehouse, and he's forcing them to, to cook up this drug. Once they have the drug in hand, because Sionis also recorded them while they were making the drug, while they were making snakebite. So he was just like, I'm going to record you guys making snakebite, and then once I have the formula, I'm going to kill you. Under those circumstances, if I was Ocean and Angelique, I would have tainted the formula. I don't know why they actually made the formula, but we'll see what happens. So now while Ryan's on her way to go look for Angelique, Sophie contacts Luke, and Luke, Mary's back. Luke, Mary, and Ryan, they're getting into a conversation because they're just like, yo, Sophie said your identity's about to be exposed. And then Ryan was just like, yeah, but I gotta go save Angelique. And then Luke was just like, look, he's like, nobody else is gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. He's just like, Angelique, ain't nobody checking for no Angelique. He's like, Angelique is not worth risking the Bat legacy, just for one person. Because he was just like, plus, they need her to cook up the snake bite drug. So they're not going to kill her if they need her to make drugs. So he was like, yo, bring your ass back to the Batcave and let's discuss the plan, to try to get that blood sample off the table. And then Ryan was like, you know what? She was like, why don't you, Mary and Crofy, why don't y'all go work on that? Why don't y'all go handle that? And I'm going to go save Angelique. I'll check back in. Peace. So now Sophie, Luke, and Mary, they're trying to come up with a plan, to erase that Batwoman DNA. Because Sophie, she understands Batwoman. Like, she knows Batwoman's here to help. She even talked to Commander Kane about it. She was just like, I think Batwoman's here to help us, sir. And then Commander Kane was just like, get out of my office more, because he's hooked on the drugs. So she goes out, and then Mary ends up going down to Crow headquarters. And she gives Sophie a device. The device, she's like, if you plug this device into a tier 1 computer, you can use it to digitally erase anyone's information. But the only person who has that kind of access is Commander Kane. So Mary was just like, well, that's why I'm here. So Mary goes to Commander Kane. She asks him like, hey, take a walk with me. The two of them go down to her makeshift hospital. And then she tells him, she's just like, yo, I got the permits and everything to actually make this legal. So she was just like, she's like, whenever I treat like a criminal, I'm supposed to fax over their information to the GCPD. But she was just like, but I'm a millennial. I don't know how a fax machine works. So, once I figure it out, I'll do that. And then she thought he was going to make a big deal out of it. And then Commander Kane was like, all right, cool. And then she's like, what do you mean? She's like, you're okay with this? And he was just like, look, you made one step to get the whole thing legalized. He's like, you're doing something good for the community. Plus, I'm hooked on the drugs and I ain't got time to have this conversation. So he's like, yo, do you, boo? And then he bounced. While he was gone, Sophie got into his office. She plugged the device in. When she pulled up the information for the device and she was talking to Luke, like, she ended up telling Luke, she was like, bro, it's not just Batwoman's DNA that's on this computer. She's like, how they have DNA samples and DNA matches and profiles of rapists, murderers, killers, and because she was like, yo, this list has like a bunch of people on it. And she said, but everybody's profile, it's registered as a number. It doesn't have their name or like an individual photo. So she's like, everybody's numbers. And then she was like, if I go ahead and delete the files, I'm going to delete the files of all these known killers and murderers. And she's like, I can't do that. So she aborted that mission. And then, and then Luke was just like, well, what are we going to do? We can't let them find out who Batwoman is. And then she was just like, you know what? I got an idea. Because the thing about it is, the device that Luke gave her could erase a digital imprint of anyone's profile. What everybody was doing was they were trying to erase the information on Batwoman. But because Sophie knows that Ryan is Batwoman, instead of erasing Batwoman's DNA, DNA profile from the computer, Sophie erased Ryan's information from the computer. So this way, when the lab results came back in and the Crows tried to check to see if there was a match, there was no match for Batwoman because Ryan got removed from the system. And it's only a matter of time before Luke figures that out, because Luke's gonna be like, yo, how did you manage to save her? And then she was like, yo, don't worry about it. Luke's not dumb. Luke gonna figure that shit out. Batwoman now, she goes down to the false face hideout to see if she can find Angelique. She doesn't find Angelique, but then she finds Alice. So Alice is there and she's just like, oh, I'm looking for someone who was taken by the false face gang. And then she was like, well, I'm looking for somebody that was taken by the false face gang. So she was like, oh, so why don't we just team up, and go save these two people together. She wasn't really feeling the idea, but Alice was the only one that knew the location of where Angelique and Ocean were. So the two of them go down, and Ryan made it a point to tell her, she was like, bitch, we are not bonding on this trip. We are not getting to know each other. We are not having conversation. And of course, that's what happened. There was a cool scene where like Alice was like touching everything in the Batmobile. And then when they finally got to the place where the drugs were being made, the two of them did have like a little chat, whatever. Then she was just like, yo, I don't trust you because you killed my mom. You don't even know who my mom was. You don't even know her name because you don't care. And she was like, just because we're teaming up for this, she was like, don't think I won't cut you, bitch. And, then Ryan figured out that Alice was in love with Ocean, and then, Alice figured out that Batwoman had a thing for Angelique, and then the two of them were talking about their relationship drama. But then when they were about to go into the when they were about to go into the hideout, Ryan said, she was just like, yo, one thing you need to know about me. And she's like, bitch, I don't forget nothing. And then she handcuffed Alice to like a pole or something, and then Batwoman went inside herself. So while Batwoman's inside looking for Angelique and Ocean, Kate shows up with her new mask and her new white jacket. She sees Alice outside, and although Alice is her sister, she doesn't flinch. She doesn't think anything of it. She just looks at her kind of like, kind of like creepily. And then she was just like, where's Batwoman? And she's like, oh, Batwoman's inside. So Kate goes inside to go get Batwoman. So Batwoman goes inside. She ends up beating up all the thugs. She saves Angelique. She saves Ocean. Ocean got shot at one point because after they finished cooking up the drugs, one dude did try to kill him. He shot him in the shoulder. Batwoman shows up. She beats him up. And then, after she beats up, like all the false face gangs, then Ocean and Angelique, they end up leaving together. Then at that moment, like Kate Kane shows up in the, in the white mask. So Kate and Batwoman get into a fight. And then the two of them are fighting. Kate had Batwoman down for the count at one point. And then Alice showed up and knocked her out because she was just like, oh, she was like, bitch, I've been trapped in a basement like for half my life. She's like, you don't think I know how to get out of no handcuffs? So she gets out of the handcuffs, and she did save Batwoman's life. And after she saved Ryan's life, Ryan actually did say thank you. And then, so the two of them together, they were fighting Kate, but for some reason Kate was beating both of them up, which I thought was really weird. And then there was a moment where Kate had got the drop on Alice. She had Alice pinned down, and she had a knife to Alice's throat. Batwoman was on her way to intervene. And then when Batwoman looked and saw that Kate was about to kill Alice, she was like, you know what, I'm okay with that. And then she tried to walk away. And then when she tried to walk away, Alice was like, you have to save me. And then she was like, I do remember your mom. She had like short hair and a purple sweater. She's like, I just pretended. She's like, I do remember her face. She's like, now save me. She was like, bitch, ain't nobody got time for that. And she's like, she was like, yo, you can't save everybody. And I thought that was very grimy on Ryan's part, but I get it. It's just like in the Aquaman movie where Black Manta's dad was pinned down, and then Black Manta asked Aquaman, he was like, yo, help me save my dad. And Aquaman was like, nah. I mean, his reason made perfect sense because he was just like, yo, you and your dad killed numerous people. He was just like, yo, ask the sea for mercy. He's like, I'm not going to help a known murderer and a killer. And it's like, I get that. But at the same time, you're still the hero. Like, Ryan should have saved Alice. It would have also, because see, this is going to come back to bite Ryan in the ass, because when she finds out that Kate's the one behind that mask, she's going to wish she would have intervened back then, because they could have been saved Kate at this point. So anyway, Kate ends up taking Alice back to Black Mask. Black Mask is like, who's this bitch? Kill this bitch. But then he was like, actually, you know what? He's like, don't kill her just yet. He said, put her in the basement, because I do have something planned for her. She can help me with something. But he's like, but I'll work on that tomorrow. Batwoman goes home. She doesn't say anything about the fact that she just left Alice to the wolves. Angelique shows up, and her and Angelique start talking. And then Angelique is like, yo, I'm going back into protective custody so I can testify, against Black Mask. Because she was like, why don't you come to protective custody with me and live with me? And then she was like, no. She was like, I love you and all, but she's like, I got a life here. I'm trying to do things in the community. I'm trying to make Gotham a better place. And then, Angelique was like, I don't deserve you. And then the two of them actually had like a respectable, breakup. They hugged each other. Angelique went on her way and Batwoman went on her way. So that was actually pretty cool. Like, it wasn't this whole like unnecessary forced drama thing. So after Sophie had erased, Ryan's digital blueprint, she ended up going to delete, to cover her tracks and delete her, her password and everything out of the system. So the commander didn't find out that she was the one that did it. After she deleted all the information and tried to put his laptop back in the drawer, she saw the snake bite needles. And then she was like, oh shit, this motherfucker's on drugs. She was like, no wonder why he snapped at me earlier and why he's been acting crazy. So she goes and tells Mary, she's like, yo, your dad's hooked on that shit. And then Mary, for some reason, didn't believe her. And then Mary was just like, oh, my dad's not on drugs. And I'm like, you was just beefing with homeboy not too long. Like, it didn't make sense to me based on the relationship that Jacob and Mary have had since the season started. It really wasn't justified for Mary to all of a sudden take his side. And she's like, my dad's not on drugs, Sophie. And then Sophie's like, well, if that's the case, then this should be a real short conversation. So she was just like, but just look into it and let me know what you find. I mean, the guy got the damn holes, like the needle holes like in his arm. So Mary gonna find out, and then she gonna apologize, and it's gonna be this whole big thing. By the end of the season, Sophie will be running the Crows. I guarantee she will be running the Crows. But for now, we're dealing with an evil Kate Kane working for the bad guy, and I want to see what Sionis is going to do with Alice now that he has Alice in his possession. So that was it, So thank you for tuning in, and this is getting intense. Like, this is getting very intense because now Kate's like in the mix now. She's part of the bad guy. So now we've got Ryan, we've got Kate, and we've got Alice. So there's a little triangle thing here. And then there's the whole situation with Ocean. Like, does Ocean come back to try to save Alice? And then like what happens when? Because the thing about it is, it's like Ryan, like, Alice already knows who Ryan is, so the whole dynamic between the two of them is not a big deal. So we'll see what happens when Alice escapes from Sionis' custody, and then she runs up on Batwoman. She's like, "You tried to kill me, bitch!" Like, that's gonna be this whole big thing as well. So let me know down in the comments, what do you think of like Kate Kane being evil, working for the False Face Society? What do you think about where things are going? With Alice's character, like Sophie being the MVP. Also, happy birthday to Megan Tandy. The MVP of like Sophie's the MVP of this show so far because she's pulling like double duty, triple duty. Like she all over the place. That's why I hope she ends up becoming the leader of the Crows before the season's over, because I'll be very happy about that. So like I said, but let me know in the comments what you think down below. Let me know what you think was going on with everybody. Check me out on Twitter. Check me out on Instagram. Check out the Tacos and Geek podcast. Link will be in the description below, and we'll continue the trade. We do have Black Lightning coming up, and then the Flash is back. We're doing the trial of Killer Frost, and then Supergirl and Superman and Lois comes back on the 18th. So we're loading this bad boy up. We're definitely loading this up with all this DC superhero goodness. So thanks, guys. So until next time, for Batwoman, as always, I'm out this bitch.